your camera tell me? You don't have my lights. Oh, there we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome tonight to Facebook Live here with Decatur First United Methodist Church. Glad you're all here online. If you're coming on, if you're watching, we'd love to have you here tonight. We have a special treat tonight. We have Carlos Cunningham with us from Voz de Libertad. How do you say that in English? Voice of Liberty. That's right. Voice of Liberty in Costa Rica. We are doing this as part of our mission emphasis for our Faith Promise initiative that we do here at Decatur First United Methodist Church, and he is here tonight to speak about his ministry. But I'm going to have Ken Chandler come up and introduce him tonight.
Good evening, everyone. It's glad to have y'all out here on a rainy, cold night that might turn into ice. We hope not. Hope you get home safely before. But it's a real pleasure to introduce Carlos Cunningham and his family, his wife Carla, his two children, Faith and Ferdinand. Where's Ferdinand? He's just off doing his thing. That's what Ferdinand does. Listen, he's been helping my wife cook at home. If you think that isn't hilarious, how old is Ferdinand? 11-year-old. And he's bouncing around in that kitchen and telling her how to cook a trifle, how to put the layers in. This kid's phenomenal. Anyhow, it's a real pleasure to have them. I think, Carlos, you started being a part of our church. I call you a part of our church when we had our first mission conference. Mark heard, when was that? There you go, 2014. Mary Isla was in charge of the GIC that year. And so we've been supporting his ministry in San Jose, Costa Rica ever since, right? And you've been back, I think, almost every year, you and your family. It's always a pleasure to have you. I'm going to let him tell you all about his ministry in Costa Rica. But if you're familiar with Kairos, it's like an Emmaus walk in a prison system. Basically, that's what he does, but on a much larger, more detailed, ongoing, daily thing that he does there. And it's phenomenal what they do and the results, and I'll let him explain that to you. The only thing I can tell you about Carlos's background is he was once a track starter. So nobody in this room is going to catch him. He showed me pictures. I think you won something. What'd you win? You were Central America, your record holder. How about that? So anyhow, well, I'm just rambling. So come on up here, Carlos. Let's give him a big welcome.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. And today, my daughter Faith, she will help with translation.
Okay, I'll try my best.
And my wife Carla is here also, and we are really happy to be here. And quiero agradecerles por todo el apoyo que nos han dado.
I want to thank you for all the support that you've given us.
Saben que vengo recientemente pasando una cirugía en la espalda.
Most of you guys know that I recently got a surgery in my back.
De hecho, esta iglesia ha sido parte importante en que eso haya sido posible.
Actually, this church has supported me a lot so that this was possible.
Quiero decirles que todo está muy bien.
I want to tell you all that everything's
Estoy en
okay.
el proceso de recuperación
I'm in recovery right now,
y me estoy portando bien.
and I'm behaving. Kind of.
Así que esperamos una pronta recuperación.
So we hope for a good recovery.
Bueno, hoy quiero compartir con ustedes alguno de lo que recientemente está pasando en el ministerio.
So I want to share with you all a little bit of what's happening right now with our ministry.
Y especialmente que la iglesia pueda ver dónde están participando ustedes directamente.
And especially I want to show you all where you guys are participating and helping right now.
Y quiero enfatizar esto.
And I want to emphasize in this
porque cuando se habla de lo que está haciendo Dios en Costa Rica,
because when we talk about what God is doing in Costa Rica,
es muy importante
it's very important
que ustedes se sientan parte de eso.
that you feel like you're part of it.
Lo que está pasando en Costa Rica
What's happening in Costa Rica
es porque esta iglesia está haciéndolo también.
it happens because this church is supporting us too.
Entonces no es un tema de Carlos y Voice of Liberty,
It's not a Carlos and Voice of Liberty thing.
sino que es la iglesia, es esta iglesia.
It's also this community, this church.
Cuando Jesús empieza su ministerio,
When Jesus started his ministry,
en el Evangelio de Mateo capítulo 4,
in Matthew 4,
dice que la luz vino a alumbrar a los que estaban en tinieblas.
it says that the light came to those who were in darkness.
Y qué privilegio poder ser parte de eso.
And what a privilege to be part of that.
Así que usted puede darse un aplauso también por eso.
So you can
Darse un aplauso. Hand clap.
clap yourself because you are part of that.
Yeah, yeah. Ok, entonces, ¿cómo hacemos eso?
How do we do what we do?
Es un concepto holístico,
It's a holistic concept
porque así lo hizo Jesús.
because that's how Jesus did it.
Jesús ministró en la parte física, social, la parte emocional y la parte espiritual.
Jesus took care of the physical, social, emotional, and spiritual part of every human.
Y nosotros tenemos que hacerlo según el modelo de Jesús.
And we have to do it in that model or role.
Cuando empezamos a trabajar solo con los privados de libertad,
When we started working with just the inmates inside the prisons,
nos dimos cuenta que teníamos que hacer un trabajo más integral para ver resultados.
we figured out that we had to do a more holistic way of doing it so that results could be seen.
Y por eso es que pensamos en el Evangelio,
And that's why we thought about the gospel,
pero de una manera práctica.
but in a practical way.
Porque un ministerio como esos solo se ven los resultados cuando se hace de esa forma, de esa manera práctica.
Because in a ministry like this, the only way that results can be seen is that way, practical.
Y eso nos lleva a un punto clave que es el discipulado.
And that takes us to a very important part, which is discipleship.
Y hacer discípulos de manera que ellos puedan discipular a otros.
And we like to do disciples so that they can disciple others.
Y nuestro énfasis es este, que aprendan.
And our focus or emphasis, and we emphasize and make sure that they learn.
Porque a veces muchos aprenden mucho de nada y no hacen nada.
Because many times we teach and teach and teach, and they are not learning at all.
El discipulado nos ayuda a esto.
And discipleship helps us to make sure they learn.
Pero obviamente previo a eso tiene que haber un evangelismo intencional.
But obviously, before the teaching, there has to be a discipleship,
Evangelismo intencional.
intentional discipleship,
Evangelism.
Sorry.
That is very important, Pastor. Evangelism. We need someone. Evangelism. Okay. Ahora, podemos pensar un poquito en quien hace la obra para continuar. Es Dios haciendo esas tres cosas.
So,
¿Quién hace la obra? Es Dios haciendo.
okay, so the one that does the work is God, doing those things, changing hearts, transforming lives, and impacting the world. That's God.
Y aquí yo quisiera hacer un comentario con respecto a esto que vas a leer. ¿Puedes leerlo directamente?
Okay, I'm gonna read what's there, and then my dad he's gonna comment a little bit. Many people feel hopeless because of broken prison systems. The Voice of Liberty Prison Fellowship has programs in prisons around the country that has been shown to restore prisoners, help their families, and successfully integrate them into the community for good.
Entonces pensemos en invertir en esto y para esto.
So let's think about investing in this and for this.
Y eso es lo que está haciendo esta iglesia.
And that's what this church is doing.
Y esta iglesia está haciendo posible eso.
And this church is making that possible.
Es entender que tenemos que tener una visión más allá del castigo y del crimen.
And we need to understand and we need to have a vision beyond crime and punishment.
Más un concepto más restaurativo.
A more restorative concept.
Y con 4 grupos de personas.
And we work with 4 different types of people. Groups of people, sorry.
Ustedes están invirtiendo en 4 grupos de personas bien definidos.
You guys are investing in 4 groups of people that are already defined.
Puedes leerlo ahí.
So we work with,
Ellos están invirtiendo en
so you guys are investing in inmates, former inmates, families affected by the imprisonment of a loved one, which are women, could be wives, mothers, sisters, children, boys and girls, young people, elders, men that can be husbands, fathers, or brothers, and others, and people who are victims of crime.
Entonces pueden ver que es un concepto integral.
So you guys can see this is a very holistic concept.
Porque no podemos solo trabajar con el que está en la cárcel sin trabajar con el resto.
Because we can't just work with the one who is inside prison without working those who are connected to that person outside.
Y incluye las víctimas.
And that includes the victims.
¿Y dónde están las víctimas?
And where are the victims?
Están en nuestras iglesias,
In our churches,
en nuestras comunidades.
in our communities.
Entonces, se trata de proteger a la sociedad.
So it's all about protecting and taking care of society,
Proteger a la víctima
protect the victims,
y promover justicia restaurativa.
and to promote restorative justice.
Esas son algunas de las comunidades en las que estamos trabajando.
These are some of the communities in Costa Rica which we're working with.
Estamos hablando de 16 cárceles,
We are talking about 16 prisons,
donde en esas 16 cárceles hemos plantado 19 iglesias.
and inside those 16 prisons, we have planted 19 churches.
Y es ver iglesias como las de la calle, de todo.
And those churches are the same as any church outside a prison.
Alabanza, adoración,
Worship,
discipulado, escuela bíblica
discipleship, Sunday school,
y también problemas.
and problems, like any church.
Okay. Entonces, estamos invirtiendo en gente llevándolos a los pies de la cruz de Cristo.
We're investing in people so that they can reach the cross.
Y la luz de Cristo ha brillado para ellos.
And Christ's light has been shining inside prisons for them.
Estamos trabajando en 8 comunidades fuera de la cárcel.
We're serving in 8 communities outside prisons.
Y esos son algunos de los programas.
And that's some of our programs inside and
Vamos a
outside.
pasar ahora solamente más específico para que lo puedan ver. Entonces, estamos creciendo en esa parte administrativa.
We're growing in the
Administrative.
administrative area.
Como ha crecido tanto el ministerio,
Because the ministry has grown so much,
el mismo gobierno nos ha asesorado
the government has given us a little bit of advice
en cuanto a alguna dirección en lo que es capacidad, en gobernanza y en estructura.
They have helped us with capacity, governance, and structure.
I'm sorry about the structure. My fault. Okay. Estamos también, ustedes están invirtiendo en el entrenamiento de voluntarios
You guys are also investing in volunteer training
y en la capacitación de capellanes.
and in chaplaincy.
El año pasado
Last year,
graduamos 16 capellanes en el 2019. Graduamos 16 capellanes, los primeros capellanes graduados del ministerio.
in 2019, we had
16.
16 already graduated chaplains, the first graduated chaplains from our ministry.
Después de 3 años de estudio,
After 3 years of study, they graduated.
Actualmente tenemos alrededor de 80 voluntarios
Right now, we have approximately 80, 90 volunteers
de 30 diferentes iglesias.
from 30 different churches.
Antes de la pandemia teníamos casi 140 voluntarios.
Before the pandemic, we used to have around 140 volunteers.
Y pasamos 2 años de la pandemia motivándolos, reuniendo con ellos, y etc.
During the pandemic, we had meetings and we've been encouraged them to continue.
Y cuando abrieron las cárceles nuevamente,
And when the prisons opened up again after pandemic,
fue muy impactante
it was very impactful
porque pensábamos que teníamos que empezar prácticamente de cero.
because we thought that we would have to start from scratch all over.
Pero realmente ellos estaban ahí esperando el regreso.
But they were actually waiting so that the prisons would open up to continue serving.
Ese es un programa que van a escuchar mucho ustedes porque es una de las columnas del ministerio.
This Priva program, you're going to be hearing a lot about it because it's one of the most important programs that we have in the ministry.
Porque empieza donde tiene que empezar todo,
Because it starts where everything should start,
evangelizando.
evangelizing.
Y después de ahí todo el proceso.
And after that, everything comes.
Por ejemplo, el programa Gold
For example, the Gold program
es un programa para recibir y orientar a los que han salido de la cárcel.
it emphasizes in receiving the inmates, well, the former inmates, after they go out of prison, and we support them throughout their life or their process.
Después es el Kairos,
And then we have Kairos.
como hablábamos ahora, es uno de los ministerios que ustedes están familiarizados. Costa Rica es el primer país donde se hace Kairos en español.
Most of you should know, or probably know, what Kairos is. In Costa Rica is the first country that did Kairos in Spanish.
Después de la pandemia tuvimos el Kairos número 16, Kairos afuera.
After the pandemic, we did the Kairos number 16 outside, Kairos outside,
Para las familias.
for the families.
Estuvieron 30 y cuántos? 37 familias participaron en el retiro.
38 families participated in this Kairos outside,
Y estamos preparándonos para el Kairos adentro ahora.
and we've been preparing for Kairos number 17.
La Confraternidad Carcelaria de Costa Rica desarrolla tiene uno de esos programas.
The Prison Fellowship in Costa Rica has the 3 of them?
De los dos, el prisionero y el semillitas.
So Prison Fellowship in Costa Rica has the Prisoner's Journey and the Little Seed of Love in Costa Rica. Yeah.
Después lo que es APAC, el faith-based prison.
And then we have APAC, which is a faith-based prison.
Algunos han escuchado de la historia de APAC, ¿verdad?
Have you guys heard about the APAC story?
The faith-based prison.
The faith-based
Ok,
prison.
no sé si daría tiempo, pero quiero comentar así rápidamente de que ese es un proyecto donde nosotros le pedimos al gobierno, bueno, básicamente es que nos pidieron a nosotros si podemos hacer un programa para trabajar con las personas que han salido de la cárcel.
So the government asked us if we could have a program where we could work with the former inmates.
Y nosotros les dijimos, bueno, yo les dije que no tenían que preocuparse por eso si nos daban 10 personas para terminar la sentencia con nosotros.
So I told them, you don't have to worry about that if you give us 10 prisoners for the faith-based prison, right?
To finish their sentence with us.
To finish their sentence with us.
3 meses después
3 months later,
nos dieron 14
they gave us 14
para empezar el proyecto.
to start the project.
Un año después
A year later,
nos evaluaron
they made an evaluation
y nos dieron 32.
and they gave us 32.
3 años después
3 years later,
nos dieron 52.
they gave us 52.
Ahora tenemos 92
And now we have 92.
y han pasado por el programa casi 2,000 privados de libertad.
And almost 2,000 prisoners have gone through that program.
Y ha sido un impacto.
And it has been a great impact.
Ha sido un gran impacto porque el índice de reincidencia en Costa Rica es de un 75%.
It has been a great impact because the recidivism rate in Costa Rica, in general prisons, is about a 75%.
Y los que están en los programas de las iglesias, de las 19 iglesias,
And those prisoners who are involved in the programs of Voice of Liberty and going to one of the 19 churches inside prisons,
es de 33%.
it has a recidivism rate of 33%.
Y aquellos que están en el faith-based prison
And those who are in the faith-based prison,
es de un 0.1%.
the recidivism rate is a 0.1%.
Y eso de verdad está llamando mucho la atención.
And that is calling a lot the attention.
El gobierno nos pidió que hiciéramos 2 más
The government asked us if we could do 2 more faith-based prisons,
uno para mujeres
one for women
y otro para young offenders.
and the other one for young offenders.
Nuestra respuesta hoy fue, tenemos que esperar,
Our answer was, we have to wait.
porque el primer proyecto lo hicimos sin tomar en cuenta muchas cosas.
Because the first faith-based prison, we did it without considering some aspects.
Por ejemplo,
For example,
tuvimos que hablar en la corte
we had to talk in court
con los jueces,
with the judges,
con universidades,
with universities,
con las comunidades,
with communities,
para que nos permitieran hacer el proyecto.
so that they could allow us to do the project,
Y apoyar.
and so that they could support us also.
Pero dejamos de lado algunas cosas,
But we left aside some other aspects,
como por ejemplo el presupuesto,
like budget,
para tener un personal, un staff.
so that we could have a staff.
Y ahorita en este proyecto tenemos solo voluntarios.
And right now in this project, we only have volunteers.
Tenemos una psicóloga,
We have a psychologist,
2 trabajadores sociales,
2 social workers,
que se les da una ofrenda de apoyo nada más, pero no un salario. Offering.
and we only give them an offering. Because they're not
Empleados.
because
They're not part of the staff.
because they're not staff, like they don't work there.
Entonces nosotros hemos aprendido que tenemos que crecer en capacidad,
So we've learned that we have to grow in capacity,
en estructura,
in structure,
especialmente para dar otro paso.
especially because in that way we can do another step.
Pero sí estamos claros que eso es lo que Dios quiere,
But we are sure that's what God wants.
porque vemos a las personas salir de ahí transformadas por el poder de Dios.
Because we see how God's power has transformed people that live from that prison.
Empezamos este proyecto con 12 elementos fundamentales.
We started this project with 12 important aspects.
Pero ahora tenemos 16 pillars.
But now we have 16 pillars.
Entre esos, el tema de la comunidad, muy importante.
One of those is the community.
Otro es el tema de la familia.
The other one is family.
Y entre otros que quiero rescatar es el tema de la valorización humana.
And
Human value.
one of the most important is the human value.
Aquí, ahora voy a mostrarles unas fotos nada más de lo que es el tema del discipulado dentro de las cárceles.
I'm just going to show you guys some photos about discipleship.
Y puedes leer eso.
Yeah, it says, bringing light into the darkness. Donations help prisoners go through the prisoner's journey process of recovery. Programs that introduce them to the light and hope of Christ, changing them and the prisons from the inside out.
Y ahí es donde empieza todo.
And that's where everything starts.
Y Dios ha permitido que se desarrollen esos otros programas.
And God has allowed us and helped us so that these other programs can grow too.
Y aquí el tema importante en lo que estamos juntos, ustedes y nosotros todos aquí,
And the important part why we are all here together today
es para quebrar el ciclo de la violencia, lo que está en negrito.
is to break the cycle of crime. Broke the cycle of crime.
Y esas son de las iglesias, ahí es una de las iglesias.
That's one of the churches.
Como les dije, tenemos la cena communion. También tenemos tiempos para alabar. Eso es en la cárcel.
We also have worship time.
Ese es el material que trabajamos de discipulado. Está también en inglés.
That's the discipleship book.
Y así hacemos los bautismos.
That's how we do baptisms.
Tenemos que meter una piscina y
We have
bautizar ahí.
to put a plastic pool inside.
Eso es parte de los grupos pequeños. En la
That's part
cárcel.
of the small groups in prisons.
Y ¿qué piensan ustedes cuando ven esa foto?
What do you guys think when you see that photo?
Es una cárcel.
That's a prison.
Tal vez una persona que quiera, ¿qué le viene? ¿Qué siente cuando ve una foto como esa?
Maybe one person can tell us what do you feel when you see that picture?
¿Qué le llama la atención?
What calls your attention? Joining hands.
Normalmente en las cárceles se matan entre ellos.
Normally inside prisons, they are killing each other.
Pero aquí se apoyan,
But here they encourage each other.
¿verdad? Before, véalos ahí.
Look,
Eso solo Dios lo puede hacer.
that's something that only God can do.
Y damos gracias a Dios por el privilegio que Él nos da.
And we thank God for the privilege that He has given us.
Ese es ya el programa. Yo trabajo más los programas dentro de la cárcel.
I work more with the inside prison programs,
Y Carla trabaja más coordinando el equipo de afuera.
and Carla works more in the outside prison
Esas son
programs.
algunas de las fotos de trabajo con las familias.
Those are some of the pictures with the families.
Esto es en el faith-based prison.
That's photos from the faith-based prison.
Vean el señor de la camisa blanca.
Please watch the man with the white shirt.
Ven esa mano pequeña que está agarrándole, casi que jalándole la camisa.
Can you see that small hand that's grabbing with great effort that shirt?
Después de la visita,
After the visit,
se están despidiendo, los niños van a su casa y el papá se queda en la cárcel.
The children go to their houses and dad stays in prison.
Pero la realidad ha sido diferente ahora,
But their reality is now different
porque ahora esperan a un papá transformado.
because now they're waiting for a transformed dad.
Y ellos están listos para esperar lo que Dios les ha dado a través del cambio.
And they are ready to receive what God has done with
Estas
him.
son algunas fotos también del programa de las familias, donde se les ayuda a las mujeres a tener emprendimientos.
Those are is a photo of one of the programs where we help the ladies with small business.
Small business.
Yes.
Yes. Y tenemos testimonios de éxito de eso.
We have testimonies about that.
Increíble, pero eso es un retiro.
It's incredible, but this is a retreat
En la cárcel,
inside a prison
donde las esposas llegan
where the wives go inside the prison
y participan en esas actividades con sus esposos.
and they are part of the activities inside prison with their husbands.
Después de la pandemia, bueno, durante la pandemia tuvimos mucha visita virtual.
During the pandemic, we had, because we couldn't go in person, we had virtual visits.
Y eso ayudó mucho a fortalecer las familias.
And that helped us, well, help the families to support
Bueno,
each
vamos
other.
a pasar rápido estas fotos del proyecto de festival escolar.
That's,
¿Tú puedes hablar un poquito más de eso? Que has tenido la experiencia.
that's a photo of the back to school festivals
Quiere-
where we give books and school supplies to the children of the ones who have someone in prison.
Hablamos de cerrar el círculo de la violencia.
We talked about breaking the crime cycle.
Y parte de este programa en la que estamos invirtiendo consiste en que el niño vaya a la escuela
And part of that program consists of the children going to school
y que nosotros podamos ayudarles con los implementos.
and we help them with the school supplies.
Y después les animamos a continuar,
And then we encourage them to continue in school
porque muchas veces por su condición muchos drop off
because of their condition. Many of them drop off school.
y después tenemos el shoe boxes con ellos.
And then we have the shoe boxes program in Christmas.
Entonces, la idea es mantenerlos a ellos cerca para poderles darle acompañamiento.
The idea is having them up close so that we can encourage them and be with them.
Y muchos de ustedes han apoyado con las cajitas
And
Shoe
many
boxes.
of you have helped us with the shoe boxes
y con school supplies.
and with school supplies.
Y eso ha sido una gran bendición.
And that has been a great blessing.
Esa es una de las cajas de shoe boxes.
That, yeah,
Ok.
the shoe boxes.
Ok. La before, esa foto anterior es con las familias de los que están privados de libertad en la iglesia. En una iglesia donde el 40% más o menos son familiares de privados de libertad.
Well, the last one was a photo of families being part of a church, families that have someone in prison being part of the church. And in that church, almost 40% of the people who attend the church are related to someone inside prison.
Entonces ya pueden ver esos algunos de Kairos. Ese es el Kairos número 1 que se hizo en Costa Rica. Ahora vamos por el Kairos número 22 en el de hombres. Ese es de Kairos afuera, número 1. Ahora estamos en el 16.
That's the Kairos photos, number 1. Now inside Kairos inside, we are in 22. and cars outside were number 16.
Ok. Y el tema del voluntario que hablábamos ahora, se ha sido una bendición. Nos reunimos una vez al mes con los voluntarios.
We get together once a month with the volunteers for a general
Y
meeting.
lo que decía ahí anteriormente era que estamos todos juntos. Todos estamos juntos en eso.
And we are all together in
Y yo
this.
realmente agradezco la iglesia que está invirtiendo en Costa Rica.
And I thank God for this church because you guys have invested in the ministry in Costa Rica.
Esa es una foto de las condiciones en muchas de las cárceles en Costa Rica.
That's a photo of how a lot of prisons in Costa Rica look like.
Y nosotros como iglesia estamos dando respuesta a esa realidad.
And us in Costa Rica, like a ministry and like a church, we're doing something to change that reality.
Vea eso. Yo no
That's-
sé, eso no es humano,
That is not human. That's how
It's-
they get their food,
pero es la realidad.
but it's reality.
Vean dónde duermen muchos.
That's where they sleep, most of them.
Si algunos nos visitan en algunos de los viajes misioneros, se podemos llevarlos para que vean esas condiciones.
If you guys would like to go on a mission trip to Costa Rica, we could take you there and so that you can see.
Y si se portan bien,
And if you behave,
los llevamos a la playa.
we can take you to the beach. It's 1 hour away. It's not that far.
Cuando una persona llega a una cárcel, llega así. Si quieren lo leo.
When someone goes into prison, they get into these conditions. Hold on. It's okay. They enter the prison broken, bad physically, shattered, terribly psychologically, and hopeless, dead spiritual.
Esa es una realidad
That is a reality.
y eso es lo que vivimos. Pero hay una alternativa y es el faith-based prison. Vean la diferencia.
But there's a difference in the faith-based prison.
Y ustedes son parte de eso. Yo quiero enfatizar eso.
And I've said this a lot, and I want to emphasize in this. You guys are part of this.
Nosotros solo estamos allá haciendo el trabajo, pero sin ustedes no es lo mismo.
We are over there doing the work, but without you guys, it wouldn't be the same.
Esa es nuestra parte. Esa es nuestra parte y la parte de ustedes ha sido y es muy importante.
That's the combination of our part and you and your part.
Entonces, vean, por ejemplo, comida
That's how they get the food in the normal
y
prison,
en el faith-based prison, vean la diferencia.
and that's in the faith-based prison.
Hasta la familia están con ellos.
Even the family is eating with them.
En el faith-based prison, vean, esa es una cárcel, aunque no lo crean,
That, believe it or not, that's a prison.
porque trabajamos el pilar de la familia.
Because we work with the family,
Y eso es traer esperanza.
and that's bringing hope to them.
Vamos a presentarles un video rápido. Pasó lo siguiente. Llegó la prensa
We're gonna show a video, really short. Thing is that the news came
y visitó el faith-based prison.
and they visited the faith-based prison,
Y después fueron a visitar a la cárcel común.
and then they went to the normal prison,
Y pusieron esa noticia.
and they did this news. They posted it.
Entonces, a mí me llamó el director de Minister of Justice
And then the minister of justice called me.
y dijo, no, eso no es justo. Not fair.
And he said, that's not fair.
Porque pusieron la parte buena de ustedes y nosotros nos pusieron en mal.
Because they showed how good you guys are, and we are here like the bad guys.
Y yo dije, I don't know, I'm not the owner of the station. Entonces vamos a poner una parte del video.
We're going to put a very short part of the video.
Pueden-
Hace falta 5 años para descontar los 31 años.
It's in Spanish, then we will comment some parts.
15 años de estar privado de libertad. Bueno, estoy por robo agravado, lesiones graves y un abuso.
That's the faith-based person. That is the normal prison. They're complaining about their conditions and how bad they live inside the prison.
Ni idea, aquí ni siquiera le dicen a uno cuándo lo van a valorar. Supuestamente es cada 6 meses la valoración y ni siquiera me han avisado nada.
That's the reality of prisons in Costa
Yo
Rica.
estoy aquí por violación, en realidad estoy por 34 años, solo el Señor es el que sabe cuánto tiempo vamos a estar.
La cárcel APAC está casi que a la par del CAI Gerardo Rodríguez Echeverría. Ambos se ubican en San Rafael de Alajuela, pero la realidad de lo que viven los reos en cada
That's the
centro
difference
es muy
between the
diferente.
bathrooms in the APAC faith-based prison and the normal
Son
prison.
de estudio, pasas totalmente no muy ocupado.
That's
Encima de otros duermes en lo que llamamos cuevas aquí. Dormimos aquí, todos como ratones.
yeah. Well, they're
La
complaining
asociación
about how they
Proayuda al
eat, how they
condenado APAC
sleep.
le permiten al reo recuperarse y
That's
reinsertarse a la sociedad.
the workshop in the faith-based prison where they work.
No puede estar vaqueando. Tiene que estar haciendo una función que sea estudiar.
And every prisoner has to be doing something, studying, in the workshop, in the crops, doing something. They can't be just laying down
Pero salimos del
whatever.
APAC, caminamos unos cuantos metros y la realidad es completamente otra.
And now they're going to the normal prison. A lot different. They're complaining about the doctor that they don't have a medical service.
Las colchonetas duran a veces hasta 2 años para poder cambiar la colchoneta a una persona.
The mattress, they don't change it in 2 or 3 years, and it's the same. Some of them sleep in the floor.
Solicitando para solicitar la conyugal. Hasta el día de hoy no me la han dado ni. Tengo unos problemas aquí platinas y unos problemas que ocupo generar y lavar y no me ayudan.
Hay hacinamiento. Los comedores están así.
That's their food.
De cada olla salen como 600 tazas. Sí, correcto. Esa es la medida.
Ahí están haciendo el café para todos.
That's how they do coffee for everybody.
Los baños tienen una capa de suciedad en la que prácticamente por el olor no se puede ni
That's the
estar 5
bathroom.
minutos adentro.
And the smell, you can tell it's
A
terrible.
pesar de que uno sea preso y haya cometido errores de la vida, no debería ser uno, o sea, no debería pasarla así jamás.
La ministra Marcia González y algunos diputados escucharon detenidamente las peticiones de los reos.
Ministra, disculpe, regáleme un minuto.
Bueno, esas son algunas de las imágenes que queríamos que ver. En medio de esa realidad es que estamos juntos trabajando.
So those are a little bit of the how prisons look in Costa Rica, the
Y sí
difference.
tenemos muchos retos.
And we have a lot of challenges.
Esa foto, yo estoy en la oficina que está en la cárcel, en una de las oficinas en la cárcel.
In that photo, that's me sitting there in one of the office in the prison.
La cárcel común, el regular prison.
Yeah, in the regular prison.
Y tengo que estar con un oficial cuidándome.
And I have to be there with a guard taking care of me.
En el faith-based prison no pasa eso.
In the faith-based prison, that does not happen.
Entonces tenemos retos y este video sí está en inglés. Quiero que presten atención. Tal vez Carla viene y explica el de María. Carla va a venir a explicar. Ok, vamos a
Yeah.
poner el video.
That's an English video. I want you guys to look at it very closely. Yeah. So
Porque
let's-
después voy a hacer preguntas.
because after that, I'm gonna make questions.
My name is Maria, and I have 5 children. I live with my husband, and I'm a housewife. I keep busy doing daily household work and making sure my children get to school every day. I have 2 teenagers, and the others are younger. My greatest desire is being able to be there for my children every day and giving them my fullest attention and support in everything they do. Recently, I was an inmate at Buen Pastor, where I was introduced to Voice of Liberty. And so was my husband when he served time in a prison. Being in prison was a very hard test, not only for me personally, but also for my children. They suffered and missed me so much. We live in a very, very bad area, basically the slums. It's really a garbage dump that we live in. We live there with humility, but there are so many times I desire better things for my children. I ask God for so much. If I continue doing the right thing the right way, my dear God will reward me so that I can bring my children up in God's way. I feel so bad for my children because they were confronted with a very hard situation. It was not the same as me being there, than they being there alone. We don't know from one day to another when there will be a total life-changing moment, and my children faced that with my imprisonment. Even though it's a very hard process, I thank God. There are reasons that we are put through trials, maybe to be a better person, or maybe to grow as an individual. It was a very hard struggle to grow and become a better person. My mother carried the biggest burden by my husband and I not being there for our children. My mother leaned on a lot of support from Voice of Liberty. My mother would come and visit me in prison and bring my children. They had changed so much, and sometimes they would point out to me about all the times that I haven't been there. They would say to me, "Mom, it's been 2 or 3 years without you." And that was extremely hard to hear and overcome. To hear those things hurt me so much. To see that my mistakes hurt the ones that I loved the most, my children. I have forgiven myself, but it was very hard. I will never, ever get that time back or justify that time I did not have with them. I was introduced to Voice of Liberty in prison by attending a Kairos. I had a lot of time to reflect there and did a deep personal evaluation of myself. I learned to value small things, even though I was alone without my children and family. Now I'm here in our home, starting to restore our lives one piece at a time. I know that we will get better because with God's help, we are doing things the right way. I want to have a job because right now I'm not working. Only my husband has a job. There are a lot of things my children need and we are unable to give them. And that makes this situation very difficult sometimes. But I do have faith that I will find a job and be able to help my husband. I've come full circle in my life. I have told my children that I love them more than anything and that I am always going to be there for them. I am not going to fail them because now they have a different mother. I want what's best for them. I now smile and have joy in my heart. I don't have fear of going to prison. I feel free. I know that I paid for my crime. I have no regrets because nobody is perfect. But the only perfect one is God. I sincerely feel happy and very blessed to have met the people from Voice of Liberty. They have helped me with the support of my family. They have also helped my husband so much, to the point that he has stopped drinking. All of this makes me so happy, for now we live a more humble life, a calm life in harmony and peace. Every time we've needed support, Voice of Liberty volunteers were constantly there for us. I owe them so much. They have helped us with food and spiritual support. Now we never feel alone. They are there when we need advice or encouragement to get ahead. Sometimes we feel singled out because we have been in prison and we think we don't have this type of support. Well, that is what Voice of Liberty is to me and my family. They are like the little angels that fell from the sky when I needed them the most.
Bueno, esa historia ilustra mucho lo que estamos haciendo, porque ella estaba en la cárcel de mujeres.
That story illustrates very well what we do because she was in the women's prison.
Pasó por un retiro de Kairos
She went through Kairos retreat,
y conectamos con el esposo que estaba en la cárcel de hombres
and we also talked with her husband, which was in the men's prison,
y lo pudimos trasladar al faith-based prison.
and we got to transfer him from the normal prison to the faith-based prison,
Y hoy los dos están afuera.
and now both of them are outside prison.
Y llevaron todo el proceso de apoyo de parte del ministerio.
And they received all the support and all the programs that the ministry has.
Los niños de ellos cuando ellos estaban en la cárcel todavía, ¿verdad? Cuando ellos estaban en la cárcel,
Their children, when both of them were still in prison,
pequeños llegaban al festival escolar
when they were little, they came to this back to school festival,
y les apoyamos y les ayudamos junto con su abuela
and we would support them and support their grandma who was taking care of them.
y ahora ya la familia está junta.
And now the whole family is back together.
Vamos a ir pasando las filminas en directo, pero queremos escuchar si tienen alguna pregunta ustedes también. Queremos darle la participación a ustedes ahora. Sí, ok. No.
So I want to hear you guys if you have any questions, any comments. Yeah, if you want to say
And while
anything.
questions, the slides would be
They would be
passing.
running, they would be
Yeah.
passing. So
Okay,
if
any
wanna-
question? Yeah. Okay. First, they're in the regular prison, and then they need to request. In this moment, we have 150 on wait, esperando.
Wait in a waiting list.
When they request, and then we will send the team to the prison, and then they sign agreement. And then after they sign this agreement, the board from the prison will meet and see if they qualify, and then they will send them there. Es para cualquiera que haga la solicitud.
It's open to anybody that wants to go to the faith-based prison, but they all start in the normal prison.
Yeah. No, right. Yes, they are with us running the program. The government, they gave us the facility, food, more or less. Then we add something to the food, and they gave us 2 guards and 2 officers, one for the day and one for the night, and we need to custody the rest. It's our responsibility. $16 in the churches. Each church have like an average of 50 to 70 inmates, part of the church. Then it's a percentage. Someone else? It's like 200, some of or 500. Only one prison have 2,000 inmates, and just in that prison, in this moment we have three churches. Yes, they have, yes. Yes, they can decide. It wasn't that way 10 years ago. But because God keep opening doors, then, for example, they offer us to build a chapel inside the prisons, and we say, no, we don't want a chapel. We want to go where they sleep, in their dorms, and have small groups. And it's because it's the easiest way to reach to them. She's telling me what to say. I said, you can talk. She said it's important to mention that there are 23 prisons in the country, and right now we are in 16. And our goal is what else? And our goal is to reach out to the 100% of the prisons. And then after the 100% of the prisoners, and this project, the faith-based prison, we're praying so that we can have one for women. Listen to what happened. Last year, November, the Minister of Justice, they called me and say, Carlos, you need to go and interview 4 women because they want to be part. They complain to the court, and they obligating us to open for a woman because of their rights. Then they say you need to go and interview, and they sign the agreement. But then I said, why? We're not doing that for women. We're not ready. But the judge said that you need to go. We need to go and start the process with these ladies. And when I went there and interviewed these 4 ladies, they signed the agreement, and then I told them, well, you're signing this agreement, but we are not ready. You need to wait. But she said, it's our rights, and we need a place like this with dignity, human value, and more restorative justice. This concept, we need it. And they say, and then I say to her, yeah, but we are not ready for the project. And then they say, we can go at the men's prison. We will cook for them and we will help. Then, no, that wouldn't work. That's not working. No. Then please help us in your prayer, specific, for us to be able to open this other project, especially for the young offenders. That is in our heart. It's part of our challenge. $70,000 per year. That's it. That is the cost. And in this moment, we are in the faith-based prison. We are in our budget. We are very low because we need to invest more in not necessarily, for example, food, because the food is not good, and that is important in the holistic concept, because in the faith-based prison, they are growing their own food. And then they would add things to healthier. They're growing in the farm. We have a farm there. And crafts, and they sell it. And we have a project, a chicken project, for them to have their own eggs. Then, but things, for example, we need transportation. We need, for example, staff, at least 1 or 2 more people to work with us there, because we depend a lot on volunteers, and sometimes this project has been growing, that is sometimes volunteers, we need to grow more in capacity and structure in order to the next step. Make sense? Yeah? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Let me say a prayer for you right quick. I would want to say, as far as Kairos goes, I've worked one Kairos in my life, and I'm actually on the team now for a new one coming up in the last weekend of April. So April 27th through the 30th, I'll be working at Kairos here in Decatur. So excited about that. In the work release, Morgan County work release. Yeah. So we're excited about that. So I just want to thank you for all that you do. I know that it's a labor of love. Yeah. Yes, and we have a lot of interest here in that. We've been through some things, but we're moving forward now, and we have a good person, and we're going to meet, I think, Thursday and talk about this. Yeah. So let's pray together. God of grace, God of glory, we thank you so much for Carlos and his family, for all that they do, and for the love that they share. We know, Lord, that you have a call on us, each of us, to be people who reach out to those who are marginalized, those who are in prison, those who are sick, those who are in need of clothing, those who are just in need in general, Lord. You tell us that when we do these things unto the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you do it unto the Lord. So we just pray, Lord, that you would help us open our eyes to the plight of folks that need our love and support. And we ask, Lord, that you would bless Carlos and his family as they continue to do the will of God in Costa Rica. Thank you so much for his presentation tonight, and we pray that this weekend and all that he's doing with the GICs and other places, Lord, go well, and that there's safe travels home. It's in the name of Jesus I pray. Amen.